Welcome to the program, everybody. Tyrone Bowman live. Well, as you all know, there are a lot of major news stories that are happening that are going on across the country. And I've been pretty busy doing a lot of things behind the scenes. And so I'm trying to get caught up on the news cycle and along with the actual coverage of the stories, along with my personal commentary. We're going to be talking about some of these things. Now, the headline, I found this article for the Washington Post. It was written October 3rd. The headline reads, Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced to over 4 years. Here's what's next. This article was written by Anne Brannigan, Samantha Sherry, Amber Ferguson, and Shanana Jacobs. So let me give them their props, their credit for the article that I'm about to read, dissect, and offer commentary for it. If there are news stories or news videos that you want me to talk about, because I can't find everything, I can't cover everything, check them out, send me the sources, direct DM me at Tyrone Bowman Sr. at gmail.com. That's Tyrone Bowman Sr. at gmail.com. And if you happen to like this channel, and if you like all that we're doing on the channel, and you'd like to become a supporter of it, it's up to you. I'll just simply give out the information. You can hit me up at Tyrone Bowman Sr. That's Cash App. That's like the $sign. PIEXCL number 4. That's Cash App $sign. PIE or Pixel number 4. Now let's talk about this story here, because I found about 5 different news articles, even the recent one where President Trump has now acknowledged that Combs contacted him through his attorneys for a pardon. I'll get into that later. But let's talk about this article right now. Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced Friday to just over 4 years in prison after a lengthy hearing during which Combs apologized to the ex-girlfriends who had accused him of sex trafficking, as well as years of emotional and physical abuse. In stern words delivered directly to Combs, Judge Aran Subramanian told the hip-hop impresario that he had abused ex-girlfriends Cassie Ventura and a woman who had testified under the court-approved alias Jane physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Subramanian delivered Combs' 50-month sentence after a nearly 2-month sex abuse and racketeering trial that ended in July. The jury had cleared Combs of the most serious charges, but convicted him on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution under the Mann Act. All right, let's stop right there. The prosecutors, according to this article, and I'll get into it in a minute, they wanted a more harsher, lengthy sentence. And the reason why they wanted that, because they wanted to send a direct message. To who? To the public or individuals who may want to go down this road, that if we can get him, we can get you. And number 2, Judge Subramanian was not thoroughly convinced with the jury's split decision, because they found him not guilty on the most serious charge, and he was charged with the lesser, which is prostitution under the Mann Act. He has already served over a year plus in prison, and if he's sentenced to 2 to 4 years, because 2 being the minimum, 4 being the max, then there's a strong possibility that he'll be out even before then. He also ordered Combs to pay a $500,000 fine and impose 5 years of supervised release once the music producer completes his sentence. That's nothing more than post-prison punishment. They call it probation. Forget the fancy term supervised release. It's probation. Because they want to keep a track on him and they want to make sure that he feels the pain. Many times, a lot of individuals, they fall into that trap, are desperately wanting to get out of prison. They'll do anything, mostly they'll plea bargain their constitutional rights away. They will allow themselves to just say exactly what the parole board wants to hear in an attempt to get out. Well, that tag that they put on you is nothing more than post-prison punishment. It gives them the ability, it gives them the power, it gives them the authority for whatever reason and or reasons that they feel as though that you are not doing what they want you to do. They'll lock you straight back up and think nothing of it. That's why he's asking for a pardon. The sentence was above the 14 months Combs' defense had requested, but 20 months below what the pre-sentencing reporter recommended. The judge said he considered mitigating factors presented by the defense, but did not directly address why he went lower than the recommendation. The government had asked for a sentence of at least 11 years. They weren't going to get 11 years. Hey, what's happening from Africa? They were never going to get 11 years. It wasn't going to happen. Because had they sentenced him to 11 years in prison, automatically an appeal would have been released upon the courts, which they're probably going to appeal this sentence as well. It was an emotional day for Combs and his family. At one point, the hip-hop mogul broke down in the Manhattan courtroom as his 6 adult children pleaded for a lenient sentence. Moments later, an 11-minute sizzle reel highlighted his community impact. Combs also spoke on his own behalf for the first time since his arrest, delivering his prepared marks and halting sentences. Combs offered personal apologies to Ventura, Jane, and his family members, as well as grand ones to all victims of domestic violence, along with the Black community. Quote, "I hate myself right now. I'm stripped down to nothing." Combs trembled as he leaned on the defense table to address the court. He appeared despondent as Submarinian made clear that Combs would not be released in the immediate future. The judge acknowledged Combs' positive contributions to society, but said the evidence did not depict consensual relationships with Ventura and Jane as the defense had argued. Well, how come he couldn't get convicted on them then? How come the prosecutor could not get a conviction on the most serious charges that Combs? What's up, my brother? I see you all been there. Let me get to work. How come he could not, the prosecutor could not get a conviction on the most serious charges? I'll tell you the reason why. Because the jury did not buy it. They overcharged him. Prosecutors do this every day. They'll go above and beyond the scope of charging the body with the hopes of getting a conviction by hook or crook or by any means necessary. So the overcharging by the district attorneys, it backfired in their faces. Now, dealing with the domestic violence issue, yes, he has been violently horrible, terrible when it comes to domestic violence. And he needs to pay the price for the consequences of his actions. Under no circumstances or conditions should he have conducted himself in a way that he did, especially when we all saw that video of Combs dragging Cassie Ventura through the hallways and You can't blame it on drugs. You can't blame it on alcohol. You can't blame it on the dog. You can't blame it on the cat. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. The sufferings that they endured, the shame, the humiliation, the bondage, the mistreatment. There's not enough money in the world to be given to victims of real crime that's going to erase the emotional trauma, the psychological abuse, and the nightmares that they have to live with because of what they've had to go through. So Combs patiently, with an attempt of humility, addressed the court because he definitely did not want the judge to bang him even further than what he did. Prosecutors wanted Combs in prison for a longer argument at trial that he had used beatings, blackmail, drugs, and his vast influence in the music industry to abuse two girlfriends for years at freak-off parties. They said that Combs' decision to schedule speaking engagements as early as next week before his sentence was handed down marked, quote, the height of hubris, end quote. Well, that was a dumb thing for his legal team to do. You wait until the sentence is given. If you're hoping that your client is going to be released. And honestly, I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock you. You ready? Get mad in the comment section if you want to. But there have been other people who went to court in New York City and walked out the same day. Did you hear what I said? They walked out the same day. Judge said, have a good life. We'll deal with this somewhere up along the lines. Combs' legal team should fight this sentence, point blank. Why are you going to impose stiff post-prison conditions on the man once he does the 4 years? That's why I keep telling y'all, you listen to me, listen to a criminal justice major, a law student, listen to somebody who did 10 long years in prison for being wrongfully convicted. Don't let anybody make you do what they want you to do. Fight tooth and nail. Stop pre-bargaining your rights away. Stop being so to get out on these streets with no plan, no purpose, no goals, no agenda. Find a meaningful purpose for your life. And if it comes off like a sermon, then so be it. It just comes off like a sermon. I don't care. It is what it is. Combs' legal team should fight the 4 years. If they believe that he's been unjustly sentenced, appeal it to the Supreme Court of the United States. Don't take it lying down. The fact that they didn't allow the man out on bail, they kept him locked in caged like an animal. The press ran wild. The jury pool was even poisoned even before the trial began. The prosecutor's office met with the victims prior to the trial. They went over their statements over and over and over again. They already knew how this was going to play out. But you don't presumptuously schedule speaking engagements until you know that you're home free. But the bulk of Friday's proceedings was spent hearing from Combs' legal team and supporters, many of whom were tearful as they recounted his accomplishments and reforms. The most powerful statements came from his 6 adult children, who said he had completely transformed since being detained in a Brooklyn jail in September of 2024. Please, Your Honor, beg daughter Chance, give our family the chance to heal together, not as a headline, as human beings, quote, close quote. Submaranian thanked Combs' children for their words, which he said were very important to hear, and later acknowledged the mogul's many achievements and strides. But he told Combs, quote, a history of good works does not excuse the harm he caused his victims, the effects of which continue to this day, quote, close quote. All right, I agree with that. But the next high-profile case, if this judge gets it, and it's around these same things, and he's lenient with the person, I'm going to be all over his case on this channel. He will hear from my big mouth. Because Combs already suffered great shame and humiliation to himself. His reputation is destroyed. What he had left of his empire, those in the industry probably don't want to deal with it. And where were all his so-called friends and buddies and pals? They ran like a bunch of rats and cowards. They didn't want their name associated with, and they didn't want to be around Combs during this time. They scattered like cockroaches. They ran. They hid themselves to pretend, I didn't know him on that level. No, we were just associates. We weren't really friends. But they have video evidence. They have photos and so many other things to prove that you all attended his quote freak off end quote parties. Y'all of his all white parties. Y'all were up in the house, and now you want to disavow all knowledge to the contrary. That's why I don't trust people no more, because they'll be your friends. As long as everything is going well, then they'll disavow you and disown you. Especially if you're falsely accused, reputation is ruined, your character is assassinated, everything that you work for is being destroyed in a single moment of time. And the only reason why they come to court because they want to see you convicted and tried and thrown in prison. Oh hell, I'm treading on the waters. Let me just go deep into it. The day after the conviction came down for me, the prosecutor, they threw a party and celebrated because they thought they would break me. They thought somehow during my long years of imprisonment that I was going to somehow break and bend and bow and beg them. I said, the hell with that. I'll never beg to get out of prison. You put me there because of lies, and I wasn't going to lie to get out. Stand your ground. Did you hear what I said? I said, stand your ground. During sentencing, Subramanian lauded Ventura and Jane for their bravery in speaking out against Combs. We heard you. I know your families are proud of you, and your children, when they're old enough, will be proud of you, and I am proud of you, quote, close quote. Now that the trial is over, here's what to know. All right, let's dig into it. So what's next for Sean Diddy Combs? And how does time served factor in? Combs' time served, which amounts to a little over a year, will be credited to his sentence. That means he'll be in prison for an additional 3 or so years, less if he qualifies for an early release. Well, why should he not? You've got some horrendous people who committed some horrible crimes and they get out on early release. Zeph J. Zuckerman, a former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney who represented actor Jonathan Majors during his 2023 assault case, told, quote, the Washington Post that it will be a couple of weeks before Combs will be sent to a federal facility to serve out a sentence. Until then, Combs will stay at the Metropolitan Detention Center, the Brooklyn facility where he has been incarcerated since last September. Well, you can believe this much. He's not going to be in a hardcore prison. He'll be in a nice federal prison where they put political prisoners at and white-collar crime criminals at. He's not going to be in a supermax prison. And it's not going to be as hard as people think it's going to be. Combs' attorneys will probably ask for him to stay at a particular facility. Zuckerman added, one that's close to his family, that's not the most maximum security, one that has a good reputation, and one where he'll probably have no safety issues. Well, that remains to be seen because these people, they want to prove to the public that we're hard on crime. Are you really hard on crime in New York City? Are you hard on crime when it comes to black people? I think we all know the answer. When it comes to black people, they're hard on crime. When it comes to black people, they want to send a message. When it comes to black people, they want to beat the drum to the mantra of law and order. when it comes to black people, they want to use them and set them as an example to strike fear. But when it comes to others, they're more lenient. They're more tolerable. They're more considerate. They bend the rules. They look beyond a lot of things. No matter how much money you have in the entertainment industry, no matter what your celebrity status, no matter how many nonprofit organizations that you give to that don't look like us, we tell you athletes and entertainers something. Y'all keep on spending all your time up on Snob Hill. And you keep on running around and spending all your time with those people that you think that are on your side. And when the day of trouble comes, they'll have blonde-haired, blue-eyed Barbie sitting on the witness stand, crying her heart out, looking like somebody who just came from Sunday school. Keep playing. Keep thinking it's a game. Keep thinking it's a joke. Keep thinking that you're above the law. Keep thinking that your prestige, your power, your influential connections will stop you from being treated like an ordinary black person. Keep believing that. That's a misnomer, because they're going to bring you down. Combs' $500,000 fine isn't surprising, Zuckerman said, as the defense didn't argue against it, and Combs wouldn't struggle to afford it. Mark Chickow, a former federal prosecutor who has represented sex trafficking survivors, said that although Combs was acquitted on racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges, the evidence associated with those charges was still factored into his sentence. That's wrong. You're wrong, Mark. If the man was found not guilty on those charges, the judge had no business factoring him into the equation of sentencing him. That's called punitive actions without justification. Why? Why did it even take this long to come to the conclusion that you were going to give him a little over 4 years in prison? Judges have authority and to be for discretionary sentencing methods. He wouldn't have done that with another group of people. A sentencing hearing is not held to the same standard as a trial, he said. The judge can consider hearsay evidence and other sort of things. That's a lie. Once the trial is over, it's over. You can't bring in non-circumstantial evidence or hearsay evidence after the trial is over, finished and done with. The jury has made their decision. Their decision is final. Attaching a punitive an addendum onto it to bring further punishment because you don't feel as though that the jury made the right decision is judicially wrong. And they're saying that the judge can do anything because of the photographs prosecutors showed of Ventura's wounds, bruises, and other injuries. And he paid her $20 million. Remember? It's not to justify anything, but the man did pay her $20 million cash. The judge suggested that the case, while delivering his sentence, the court has to consider all of your history here. The court rejects the defense's attempts to characterize Combs' behavior toward his ex-girlfriends as sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The maximum sentence for his conviction was 20 years, 10 years for each Mann Act charge, though it was unlikely Combs would receive the harsher sentence. No, because had the judge done that, it would have been overturned on appeal. Remember Bill Cosby? The way that they bogusly tried him, got the sentence, got him convicted, sent him up into Phoenixville. The Supreme Court overturned the conviction. They said it was an illegal trial, an illegal conviction. And the prosecutor deliberately utilized prosecutorial misconduct, going against the previous prosecutor who agreed not to charge Bill Cosby after Mr. Cosby, Dr. Cosby, had already in the civil trial admitted to whatever things he admitted to, because they said they would not charge him in a criminal trial. And because the prosecutor wanted to be reelected, what did he do? He said, I will try Bill Cosby and get him convicted. That's what they do. Don't trust them. Don't trust these lying cops when they put you in one room and put your friend in the other. What they're doing, they're sitting back watching you all through that glass on the other side to see which one of you are going to turn state's evidence, AAK, become a snitch. Forget that confidential informant. No, they're called snitches. They want you to, oh, we're going to do our best to flip him. No, you're going to do your best to get him to snitch. Go get him a pizza. Go get him some Coke. Go get him some whiskey. Go get him anything as long as we get him to turn on his buddy. Then they'll say something stupid like, well, you know what your so-called best friend said about you, right? And they're lying half the time. Learn to keep your mouth shut when you are arrested. Say nothing. Stop trying to defend yourself. Let them violate you. It'll all come out. Don't help them. Let them violate you. Don't let them read you your Miranda rights. Let them put you in an interrogation room and abuse you. It will all come out during the course of the trial. It always does. I'm a living witness. It always does. So, outside the courtroom, his lawyer said they plan to appeal, and I think they have a strong basis after the judge repeatedly mentioned coercion in the sentencing, despite Combs not being convicted of coercion-related charges, and they need to appeal the case. It's far from over. They need to appeal it, because what Judge Submaranian did was wrong. What he did, he relitigated the case during his sentencing hearing to appease the prosecutors, to appease the public. Mark Agnifilio, his attorney, said, we think that's unconstitutional. His defense team could file an appeal. There's no could, they're going to. And the appeal could happen as soon as in a few days. Once an appeal is filed legally, it could take 6 to 8 months for a judge to decide whether the appeal can move forward. It's going to go forward. Theoretically, yes, but based on President Donald Trump's most recent comments on the matter, a Combs pardon seems improbable. In August, Trump told Newsmax that Combs' legal team had reached out, but he said the pardon was probably a no-go. Quote, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and he seemed like a nice guy. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile. Terrible statements make a pardon more difficult to do, the president added. Nicole Westmoreland, one of Combs' lawyers, confirmed their bid for a presidential pardon in a CNN interview a few days later, adding that Combs remains hopeful. Don't remain hopeful. Come on, Combs, it's time to man up. Man up, do the time while the appeal is moving forward. And you'll be out sooner than you think, because you have good constitutional issues to argue with on appeal. Before Combs' conviction, Trump seemed more open to the idea and made shortly after he granted clemency to rapper NBA YoungBoy and reality stars Tide and Julie Chrisley. Trump said during a White House news conference that he would consider pardoning Combs. Now, Tide and Julie Chrisley are Stone MAGA supporters, in case you all did not know. Though they're a likable couple, they're still MAGA. And the sentence that they received, I thought it was It was ridiculous. It was. Todd and Julie Christie had no business being sentenced to all those years in prison. You know, I'm going to tell you all something that you might not want to hear, but it's true. Everything President Trump says is not wrong. You might not like what he says. You might not even like the way he says it. But a lot of the things that the man has said is absolutely correct, such as fake news. There's a lot of fake news out here on the internet. Unsubstantiated, foolish fake news. But people love sensationalism. They run with it. They hear it. Oh, I heard about it on the internet. They won't take the time to research. They won't take the time to look for the credible sources. They won't take the time to see if everything is credible the way that it's supposed to be. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen next in the Sean Combs Diddy case. So bottom line is this, and I said it from the beginning, or when he was first arrested, when they had the raid. He pissed off some very powerful people. And they came after him. So will he serve close to New York, or will they put him someplace far away? I'll keep you updated. This is a story that needs to be talked about. What's up, Ken? And I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to deal with the hard stories, whether people like it or not. And I'm doing some research about something, and if it's real, if it's factual, I'll talk about it. All right, let me get ready for the next video. Never surrender. Never quit. What's happening, Ken? My brother. Thanks for checking me out. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, right after this.